Sometimes you want to change an image. For example, you might want to get rid of the background color. Here where this is white, you might want to be transparent so whatever colors behind it might show. Or you might want to make the image lighter, and that's changing the opacity. I'm going to show you how to do both of those things, and I'm going to use a tool called GIMP. GIMP is a free software that you can download and install. This is what it looks like when you open it. It kind of spreads across your screen. You see it in different parts. And this is what we're going to use to edit. It's a full-fledged image editing software that's free, and so I'm using it because it's available to everybody. What you want to do is open the file, so you have to know where it is and be able to go find it. So let's see, there it is, image opacity, inside images. I'm going to be working with this learningtree.jpg file and seeing if I can't make some changes to it. The first change I'm going to make is to adjust the opacity. So to do this, I need to make sure my layers palette is open. If it's not open, you can go into the Windows, go to Dockable Dialogues, and go to Layers and click on it, and then it will open over here. And in this, there's an opacity location control right here. And so you just push the down arrow, and I'm going to go all the way to 20%. Maybe 15%. Okay, I'm going to go way down on the opacity, and you see it happening here. So you do that with opacity, and then you need to go into image and flatten the image. And you start to see it happening here. And we want to save it this way, but if you do the save as, it saves it as an image during the editing process. We're done with it now, so we really want to export it. And we can export it there, call it Learning Tree. I'm going to change the name so it doesn't cover up my original. So I'm simply going to call this Learning Tree Opacity and export it. Oh, and down here I want to put the type that has to match. So down here I want this to be JPEG as well, so it matches. There we go, JPEG. So now I've got the extension JPEG and the type JPEG, and I want to export. And now it asks me the quality, and 90% is good for me. I just left everything default and export it. All right, so now we can go in our image files and we can find it. And there it is. And let's look at what this looks different, how this looks different on the web page. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add it. So right now I have this one. I'm going to add one more image, but now I'm going to add the opacity image. And open up the web page and refresh, and there you really see the difference in what opacity means. Now this is a really light opacity, only 15%, and you can put it anywhere in there between, you can go all the way down to 0, which is no, you can't see the image at all, or all the way up. This would be an opacity of 100. So, and this is an opacity of 15. And so that's the difference by using opacity. Another thing that I can do with it, I'm going to go ahead and reduce these again so we can see what we're doing here. I'm going to open the original again. I'm going to work from my original again. I always go back to the original to get a good start. So here's my original image. This time I want to make it transparent, and that means I want the background to not be white. I want it to be transparent so it'll show whatever color is behind it. So to do this one, it works a different way. So we have to go into colors and go down to a color to alpha. So you click on color to alpha, and it comes up and it previews and shows you, is this really what you want? Those blocky squares, right, that grid pattern, checkerboard pattern in the back, that is what stands for transparency, and that means whatever's behind it will go. And you see that the transparency goes even on the inside, right? So you can see what areas are going to be transparent. And this is what I want, so I'm simply going to say OK. Now this image we do not flatten. If you flatten it, it won't work. So this time we're going to just export it from right here. So File, and again I'm going to export it. There, export as. Now I cannot do this one as JPEG because JPEG doesn't support transparency. So you can't have transparency with JPEG, so I'm going to change it to PNG. And then I want to change it down here so the type matches. All right, because PNG supports transparency. So I click export. Now notice the settings on this are different. Again, I'm going to just leave the default settings and export. Okay, so let's go look. That image then, now I have this one .png. So this, let's see what this looks like. It looks the same here in Windows Explorer, but let's go ahead and add it. Oops, I didn't need that many spaces. Learning tree, and this one is just learning tree.png. And let's see what we've got going here. All right, so that's what it looks like transparent. It shows that background right through it. Okay, so we're seeing a real difference. The last thing I want to do is do both, is make it transparent and make it do the opacity. So let's get back to our image editing software. Again, this is GIMP and it's free, and I'm going to open again my original. And there's the original. And first I'm going to do the opacity, right, where I go up here and take it down. Now this one I'm only going to go down to 20. So I did the opacity. Then I'm going to do the color to alpha. And it says, okay, is this what you want? And then I'm going to say, yes, that's what I want. I'm not going to flatten it, I think. Let's try the export and see. I'm going to export it. I do need a PNG version to keep that transparency. And I'm going to do this, call this opacity, because it's also opacity. All right, and then I'm going to export, keep the default settings, and let's go see what we've got. And there we've got the opacity with PNG. Let's go ahead and add that to our web page. We might be running out of room here, so we'll see. And here we're going to do the PNG, but we're going to do opacity. And then see what that looks like in our web page. And sure enough, we ran out of room. They got pretty wide. All right, so that's what it looks like. So this one is transparent and the opacity 20. This is the opacity 15. This is transparent with opacity at 100. And this is opacity at 100 and no transparency. So there's a variety of things that you can do with images. There's a lot of editing that you can do with GIMP. It's awesome to have a free image editing software so that you can make changes that you want to images that you find, that you can go ahead and make lots of different changes. And there's lots of help on the internet that teaches you how to do different things with GIMP.